I understand you are a top performer at another company. That's great. And if you're a top performer here, that's great. But that doesn't carry weight here in terms of pay, where you're like, look, you know this and you can do it, and you're allowed one switch a year.
That just is minutia, and it just causes more complexity, and it makes it more difficult to track, you know?
It's funny because, people ask me about this, and reps that are interviewing, right? They're like, oh, well, I have more experience. And my response back always is, how much experience do you have with me? Right? I understand you are a top performer at another company. That's great. And if you're a top performer here, that's great. But that doesn't carry weight here in terms of pay. Your base is the same as the person next to you. And if you are a top performer, your variable will adjust for it. It's that simple. I'll negotiate on variable. I do not negotiate on bases with my teams. These are the levels. You come in, you're getting paid somewhat. You have 8 years, they have 3 years. You're being paid the same. The expectation is you're better. So you're going to make it up on the variable side. I'll negotiate on the variable comp. Bases are what they are.
One thing I like to see sometimes, and I've seen it in different organizations, I'd like to see two different plans and let the rep choose. Offer a higher base salary with less commission upside, and offer a lower base salary with more commission upside. So if you want to bet on yourself, then you have the opportunity to really, make a lot of money.
And now you're speaking my language. I've been talking about this for years. My dream scenario is 3 comp plans. 3 comp plans. 80% base with a lower overall OTE, the classic 50-50 or 60-40 split, and then a 20-80 split where you're like, look, you know this and you can do it, and you're allowed one switch a year. Meaning you picked the heavy base, but you're like halfway through the year, you're like, dude, I'm killing it. I want to switch. Love it. Switch, bet on yourself, go for it, right? Because people are motivated different ways. And I firmly believe having those as options is so important, so important to do. So no, I love that, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, based on different levels of experience, your own personal situation, how many bills you have, family, so on and so forth. One scenario might be much better for the other. And why not provide that rep that flexibility to,
Yeah.
And with solutions like we have at TruCommish, for example, you can build out, as many comp plans as you want. You can provide them to reps at various levels of seniority, and the whole thing will be automated. So you don't need to deal with sort of juggling all these multiple things happening simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then let's keep going down this path, right? So the first overall theme, right, is ease. Simple. So short and punchy, how many elements do you believe should be in a comp plan? How many things should reps be paid out on to keep it simple? Because you say simple and easy, and someone in finance goes, oh yeah, there's only 10 things. Yeah, that's super simple. How many variables do you like to see in a comp plan?
Yeah, it's not so much the variables. Obviously, the fewer, the better, and the more simplistic it will be. But as long as you have the reporting and it's easy to understand and access, and the calculations are at the forefront or easy to back up, then I'm okay with somewhat complicated comp plans to drive certain behaviors and incent reps in a certain way. Obviously, the fewer, the better. 10 is sort of unrealistic. Right. It really depends, how many different products are you selling? If you're working for a value-added reseller and you're selling a dozen different manufacturer products in different categories, then maybe the company wants to incent you in a certain way to drive certain behaviors based on the financial, situation with those vendors. So there are some instances where it makes sense, but, if you're comping reps based on whether the company that you're selling to is publicly traded or the number of employees it has or other, crazy one-off things that just doesn't have anything to do with the sale itself, that just is minutia, and it just causes more complexity, and it makes it more difficult to track.
It's so true, because it is and people do this, or I guess seem to forget that one of the first things reps do after closing a deal is look at their comp plan, if they have it, if they can access it. It's how much I just make on this deal. So let's talk about reporting, because I think this is something that just blows my mind on how many companies, and truthfully, how many reps out there are closing deals and have zero idea how much they just made, or zero idea on how they're pacing. So then the end of the month comes, the end of the quarter comes, and then the back and forth game comes, right? That Friday comes, the check hits. Ooh, that's less than I thought it was going to be. And now the games begin.